Welcome everyone to Rewind Recap Relive, or Legends and Rising Stars Meet. I'm your host Jonah, and what an episode we're bringing you today with WWE Hall of Famer Theodore Rufus Long, of course Teddy Long, and he's on with Captain of the Yacht Club, Midnight Guthrie. But first, let's go over the winner of the Teddy Long prize pack, next week's giveaway, and next week's show. Alright, first, the winner of the Teddy Long prize pack for these two signed 8x10s from the Hall of Famer is Rusty Bayana. I hope I said that right. Congratulations, you are the winner, and we will be in touch. Alright, next week on the show, we have one of the most vicious, most intense rising stars out there coming to us from China. We've got Mad Dog Connor on with a veteran of the WWE, a veteran in the wrestling industry, your friend and ours, Eugene. And as you see, you have the chance to win a signed 8x10 by Eugene. Now, something special this week, there can be two winners. First time in Rewind Recap Relive history, two giveaway winners. So what you're going to want to do is comment down below, hashtag R3 giveaway. That is hashtag R3 giveaway in the full Midnight Guthrie and Teddy Long interview, and you will be entered to win one of these 8x10s. Good luck. Alright everybody, we've taken care of everything on the list. Now all you guys have to do is please subscribe to the channel. Tons of content on the way, so keep your eyes open for that. Enter for that Eugene giveaway, because next week I'm telling you it's a great episode. Mad Dog Connor and Eugene. Like this video, share it around, comment, even if it's not to enter the giveaway. We love to hear from you, but most of all, please enjoy the episode. So first, we have a very esteemed manager who has worked in many different promotions. He is captain of the Yacht Club. Please welcome Midnight Guthrie.
That's Captain Midnight Guthrie to you, buddy, or Dr. Wrestling Midnight Guthrie, whatever you want to call me. But it's an honor to be here with Teddy Long, a great esteemed manager in his own right, and he knows a little something about leading talent.
Well, Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for having me. It's an honor here to be with you two guys, and I'm glad to be here with a doctor. That way I don't have to worry about 19. We got a doctor in the house, Playa.
Yeah, I'll go anywhere except with championship wrestling. I stay away from that. But
well, you should.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's start off with something simple here. I just want to know how you both got into wrestling, where it went from an interest to you know, what you wanted it to be for your career. And so, Midnight, you can go first. When did you feel like the wrestling industry was the right road for you?
Oh, geez. I can't remember. I literally can't remember a point in my life I wasn't watching wrestling. So I was born in the mid-'80s. So for me growing up, there was TBS, wrestling on TBS, as well as Superstars right after Saturday morning cartoons. But from there, a lifelong love of wrestling led to me starting to help out with some independent companies in our area when I was about 20 years old here in central Iowa. Now I'm in my mid-30s, and I've been involved over a decade now. And I'm a manager. I do ring announcing. I do commentary. I get my butt whooped if needed, but I only do it if it leads to victory for my wrestlers.
Well, let me say something, man. You know, I like that about you. You got a great attitude. And, you know, like you say, you get your butt whooped if you have to, because that's all part of it. That goes with the show. So I'm glad to see you got that type of attitude, because I've met a lot of guys in my lifetime, and long I've been in this business, that refuse to do things, you know, just like it's real. You know what I mean? So I don't understand. It's all about the dollar. Get your paycheck. Don't worry about what you do and what people think about you. You know, those people that are thinking about you are not the people that pay your bills. So anyway, I'll get to my start. I started around, I broke in around 1983, 84. I started going down to Georgia It was called Georgia Championship Wrestling at that time, and it was under the tutelage of the NWA. And me and my son would go down and watch the TV tapings here in Georgia. And so one day I happened to run into one of the wrestlers that had just moved to town, and you know, he didn't have any, you know, didn't know his way around and stuff. And you know, for some reason, he just stopped me and picked me. And so me and him started talking, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to be here a while. I'm in the territory. You know, say, how about, you know, if I pick you up, can you show me around and take me around and, you know, to different places?" So I ended up doing that. And by me doing that, I had a chance to go every Saturday morning with him to the TBS studios, to the tapings. And by me being with him, I had a chance to get in the back, you know, where the boys were, because at that time in the wrestling business, everything was really, you know, kayfabe. You know, I mean, you had to be one of us, you know, to be back in that locker room. So by me being back there, and a lot of the guys saw me, they, you know, kind of, well, I guess they put a little trust in me. And I stayed busy backstage. You know, I would clean up, and, you know, they would make messes. I would clean up. I was like a gopher. If they needed stuff, I would run errands and get stuff, you know. Then I would also go to the ring. And if you see some of the stuff now on the network, you know, they show some of the NWA stuff. You might can see me there going to the ring, getting jackets. When the guys take their stuff off, I would go and get their jackets. So I started doing that, and after I'd been down there for a while, then they got the first job I got was putting up the ring, taking the ring down. So I got that job, and I was doing that, and one night we went to the Cobb Civic Center in Marietta, Georgia, and we got the ring up, and it was about 7 p.m., so everybody needed to be there at 7 because matches started at 8. And there was no referee. So the promoter came to me and she said, well, Teddy Long, you're going to have to referee tonight. We don't have a referee. I just thought, I don't know anything about refereeing. I never refereed a day in my life. Right. So she said, don't worry about it. Say, well, I'm going to send out, get you a shirt, and just get in there with the guys, and the guys will take care of you. Don't worry about it. So I got in the ring, and the first match I had was Black Bart and Ron Bass. It was a Texas death match. And they were bleeding. They were bleeding all over the place, and they scared me to death. Okay, so at one point in time, at one point in time, because I didn't know. So at one point in time, I jumped out of the ring and left them. Okay, because they scared me that bad. So when I did that, these are the words that I heard right behind my head. I heard Black Bart say, he said, no, I think it was Ron Bass. He said to Black Bart, he said, did you see what the referee just did? He just jumped out of the ring and left us. So I heard that, and that's when I turned around and I went back. And so I finally got through, but they was real mad at me. And the way that they quit thinking about the mistake that I had made, I think at that time for the match to end, there was a guy that was ringing a bell named Charlie McGowan. God rest his soul. He's Scrappy McGowan's father. If some of you guys go back in the day, you remember Scrappy McGowan was a referee for the NWA.
Okay.
So Charlie rang the bell, and he rang the bell too quick, and they got mad at Charlie. They said, I heard Ron Bass say, God damn it, he just rang the bell, and they were so mad at him till they forgot about me. So that's how that's how I snuck out, That's how I escaped the heat that night. And so that was the first match I had, and so I think the second one was Tha Undertaka and Buddy Landale. And so that's where I started refereeing. I went from that. And then I started riding with Kevin Sullivan and Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, God rest his soul. Yeah. And those two guys had the great minds for this business. If you knew anything about back in the day when it was real good with the NWO and all that stuff, man, Kevin Sullivan was a great part of that. He was one of the guys that helped book that. So Kevin and Eddie, they liked me, and we started riding. And they found out that I had been a disc jockey on a radio station, and so I could talk. Okay, so we would get a case of beer, and we'd get on the road and start riding. So I'd get 2-3 beers in, and so I started DJing for them. I started turning the radio down, DJing, and they saw something that I didn't see. They like, wow, here's a guy that can talk, and that's what we need. And so one day they went back to TBS, and they told the guys, Jim Ross was doing the booking at that time, and they said, hey, man, Teddy Long can talk. Let's use him as a manager. So that's how I started managing. I had the first guy was Norman the Lunatic. I had him. I had guys like Jumpin' Joey Maggs, God rest his soul, Hard Work Bobby Walker. Some of these guys you might not remember. Sergeant Craig Pittman. I had the Ice Train and Scott Norton. They were firing ice. And also Mark Merrow was known as Johnny B. Bad. And after that, I had Sid Vicious, Danny Spivey, the Skyscrapers, and then I ran into Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. I got them from Nancy Benoit, who's certainly deceased. And like I said, that was mostly about the guys that I had.
Yeah, and so why is it? I'll go to Midnight first, because both of you, Midnight, you said manager. Teddy, of course, referee and Midnight ring announcer. Did either of you ever have any type of inclination to go into wrestling, or was it always going to be like the managerial roles?
Okay, I didn't really, didn't even really think about it. You know what I mean? I just, like I said, I started refereeing at the spur of the moment. I had no idea. So I really didn't think about it. And then after refereeing, I didn't even have any clue about the managing. I was happy with being refereeing. But like I said, Eddie Gilbert and Kevin Sullivan, they saw I could talk, and it was their idea. They pitched it. And so that's how I ended up getting into managing.
Yeah, I'm a little unique. You know, typically people go to wrestling schools now and all that. And then kind of to Teddy's point, people always ask me, how do you get involved with wrestling? And I say, go to your local independent group and say, how can I help out? Show up early, start helping set up the ring, do all that kind of stuff. People love that. And so
Hey, can I break in here 1 minute, guys? I got this like a call here. I got to take. I'll take this. It's my wife, so she's at the doctor, so it may be something, but I'll get right back to you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, I'll get right back to you.
Well, yeah.
So I'll keep. So for me, I went to shows often enough, helping out everything that essentially I was trained by a number of different wrestlers, kind of like they used to do in the older times. They'd take a guy before the shows, maybe not smarten him up quite yet, but they would have work with him in the ring. And so I have a tremendous amount of veterans from the Midwest that have trained me, and I've gone to some different classes and things like that. Now, I certainly wouldn't call myself a professional wrestler, but I know how to take punishment in the ring. Let's put it that way. So.
Yeah.
Teddy, you're in pretty good shape, man. You're going to put me to shame here.
Well, brother, I'm 62 years old, and I train very hard each and every day, man.
You're 62 years old?
I'm 62 years old, player.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't look a day over like 54 at least. So.
Well, that's why I don't mind telling people, because I'm saying I keep myself in good condition, man, and I try to, and it ain't just about that. You got to stay healthy, man. And add some time onto your life. I mean, we're all gonna go one day, but I think there's a thing called you can rush it. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to rush it. I'm trying to take my time.
So Midnight just finished describing how he got into managerial work for wrestling. I wanted to know. I'll ask you first, Teddy. Do you believe that managers are becoming a lost art in wrestling? Do you think that definitely went away over the years?
Well, yeah, they did. And then I heard this rumor that Vince, wanted to cut it all out for his managers. You know what I mean? He didn't even really want them. But my thing with this, you can't get away from what brought you to the dance. You know what I mean? You can slow down on it. You don't have to have as many managers as there used to be back in the day. But if you got a guy that's a mouthpiece, I think you should use him because I think he's valuable. And that was my thing with Roman Reigns. I just thought, that if he had a mouthpiece, that he certainly would have been, could have really got over. He talked himself, don't get me wrong, but he just needed that mouthpiece, man, and that's it. And there are a lot of guys there that are great athletes, but they need a mouthpiece. And that was like that with Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. They could talk, don't get me wrong. But I had the swag and I had the other, little bit of stuff to go with it. So, what I did was a little guy behind these two big guys talking a lot of smack. And so what I talked about, they took care of it in the ring.
Absolutely. Yeah. A manager's just a vessel to help his guy get something over that maybe is a weak spot for his game, I think. Yeah.
Go ahead. You can finish it. Go ahead.
They're like, say you got a guy, a tremendous athlete, excellent wrestler, not a great talker. That's a key component of wrestling, especially when managers thrive. There's so much TV time they need to fill. You'd have your match, and then you come back afterwards. You talk to Tony at the desk or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it gives them a lot more creativity during the match as far as getting heat and getting the crowd into it.
And then, like I said, also, managers are valuable. And what managers have to do is there's a time and place for everything. And I see a lot of guys like on the indie scenes and like a lot of indie shows that I do, and I go and try to help them because they're running from one end of the ring to the other. And that's not the way a manager does. You running from one end to the other, you're just a distraction. So now you're taking away from what the guys are doing in the ring because the people are watching you thinking that you're going to do something, and that's not the way that works. A manager should stay in one spot and only move when he is supposed to.
Very smart.
I'm a more active sort. I try to take some more of that advice myself because I can be all over the place.
You can be active, but you have to know when to be active. Say, when say a guy grabs a hold, and they're sitting in a headlock or something, you know what I mean? Now you can move a little bit, you know, you can back up and all right, now take a look at him. He don't look so tough now, and you turn around and you work the crowd a little bit there. But just as soon as they come back up and start back to working, go back to your corner. All right, come on, get him. You know the deal.
Yep. The managers you do see on TV now, and there's not many of them, but it's like Paul Heyman's an excellent talker, but clearly his with Lesnar is they have him. He just goes out there. He stays in the same place. There's very much a production side of it where they don't clearly want managers moving around the ring a whole bunch and things like that.
Well, I learned that with Vince, okay? That's why I was explaining that to you. I learned that. You stay in one spot, okay? Either you can move, but don't be moving all over the place where you start to become a distraction. So it's like I said, it's a time to move and it's a time to make a move. So you just have to know when those times are. And I learned all that because if you made a mistake out there in that ring, on that TV show, then when you walk back through that curtain, that's a come to Jesus meeting with Vince. So I didn't ever want one of those come to Jesus meetings. I had one with him one time.
You did?
That was the only. Yeah, I did, and that was the only time.
What was that for? What was that one time for?
Well, there's a thing that we do at the end of TV, and it's called a dark match. That's the advertised match.
Right.
So we were in St. Louis, Missouri, and Randy Orton was in the dark match, and Randy Orton lives in St. Louis. Okay. So me and Randy, you know, we've been friends for a long time. I mean, I rode on the bus with him and stuff like that. So, you know, we're really cool. So I'm thinking at the dog match, you know, I'm just having a little fun. So I introduces Randy, and I says, he's the legend killer. He's the Viper. He's this, you know, and I start giving him all these names, you know, but I'm just, you know, the guy's in his hometown, and I'm just, you know, trying to put him over, you know.
Right.
So, brother, after I did that, I walked back to the gorilla, and Vince was standing up, and he's waiting on me. And he says to me, he says, you in business out there for yourself? I said, no. He said, well, what's all this shit? Randy the Viper, he lives here. They know who he is. And I said to him, I said, you know what? You're exactly right. I said, I was playing. I said, you're exactly right. I said, all I can say to you, I apologize, and that will never happen again. And it never happened.
That was the dark match. That wasn't even shown on TV.
That's right. Well, he's strictly business with everything. It ain't got to be TV. Everything there is strictly business, and you learn that. And like I said, I learned so much from him. He made a man out of me for this wrestling business because you couldn't play around. This is business with him. And I had to, I'd slack a little bit because in WCW, you know, we had fun and just play around. But when I went to Vince, it was a whole different ball game.
Right. I'd love to get into Midnight. Can you tell me about the Yacht Club and who they are, why they're the greatest stable, and why you're the captain?
Oh my God, who aren't they? They're a massive super group of wrestlers here, mostly in the Midwest. But I've got depending on where you go, I got all sorts of different wrestlers. It's kind of like Jimmy Hart's first family used to have in Memphis, kind of deal. So it's Brooke Valentine, the Queen Bee. I got Little Nate. I got Christian Rhodes. I've got Berna. I've got Connor Hopkins. I'm working on Victor Analog. I got my guy Matty Starr. I've got the Carver. I couldn't forget the Carver. Yeah, my hired assistant. No. And JJ Garrett, a very exciting young man. So I mean, there's so much talent in that group. I could hold a whole show by myself and not even have to else in. So.
And you manage these guys all at once?
I try to. It's more money in my pocket. Yeah, I try to do it. Yeah.
Well, this guy knows the game. He's exactly right. The more guys, the more money.
And so, Teddy, all the greats that you manage, Doom and the Skyscrapers, like you were saying, I'd love to see who did you have the best time managing, if you could choose? You had so many guys.
I would say The Undertaker. You know, I managed him one time back in WCW when he was Mean Mark Callis.
Right.
So I had a great time with him. And also the next one would be Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, man. They were great because they were I was like their babysitter. I mean, I had to try to keep them on the straight and narrow. And so you can imagine me, a little guy like me, trying to keep them in line. But they were great, man. Sid Vicious, Danny Spivey. Basically everybody that I managed, I had a great time with them. You know, we all got along. You know, I had differences with Sid. He was real difficult to deal with. But other than that, you know, I had a great time, especially Mark Mero, Johnny B. Bad with that gimmick, looking like Little Richard, and we're dancing, having a great time.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Butch Reed, Ron Simmons, Skyscrapers, Ice Train, he was another great guy to manage. Hardwick Bobby Walker, he didn't, go too far, but he was a great guy to manage too. But like I said, everybody that I had a great time with.
And he could recognize talent because 20 years later, he was trying to put everyone one-on-one with Tha Undertaker.
I know.
Exactly. That's my
I was
deal.
going to say, did you keep that relationship over the years when you first met him?
Oh, yes, I did, man. Well,
Nice.
You can see, like I said, I managed him in WCW, and then I had the chance when I went to go to work for Vince in the WWE, and I had the chance, me and him, I was in the biggest storyline of the century with him kidnapping me and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So being able to be right there with him and working with him, and like I said, that was one of the biggest angles it was. So I was right there with Vince and everybody, because Vince basically wrote most of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what an honor to be able to pull that off and to be working with those two guys, man. It was great. God has really blessed me.
And what do you think of him retiring, having been such close friends with him?
Well, I think it's time for everybody, to hang it up, and like I said, Taker is a tough guy. This is something that I don't think he really wants to do. He kind of knows he has to because, he's really, abused his body over the years, taking bumps and stuff for a long time like that. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body. And he's had a couple of surgeries and things. So sometimes you have to let this go so you can kind of enjoy the remaining days of your life. You don't want to be, messing around and injure yourself. And as you get older, it takes longer to heal. So you don't want to be in wheelchairs and walkers trying to walk around. You want to let this go and be able to, have some vacation time and then just enjoy your life. So I think that's what he's doing. He wants to enjoy the rest of his life. He's got kids and stuff, and he wants to spend some time with them, because out here in this wrestling business, you're never home. You got two families. You got your home family and you got the wrestling family. And I live with the wrestling family more than I did at home.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. And Midnight, I want to get back into the managerial sense for a second. When you went and you formed the Yacht Club, I want to see how it differs from Teddy's past. Did you pitch yourself to them? Did you guys know each other beforehand? How'd you get so many people in that stable?
Every quality wrestler in this part of the country and beyond. I mean, who wouldn't want to be with me? Me's trying to win them over. So, I got a $330,000 house. I got my yacht on Sailorville Lake. They want to party with me. So they know if I'm leading the charge, they're going to win some championships, win some tournaments, and win a lot of money. So I basically tell someone, hey, I think you got what it takes. Let's rock and roll together here.
And I like Midnight. See, Midnight is confident. He's confident. He's got a lot of confidence in himself. And that's what it takes. You got to have confidence. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe you can make things happen. And so that's what I really like this guy. He knows exactly what he's doing. And I can understand him. If you get a guy and you don't want to jump on the midnight train, then we ain't got nothing for you, player.
Right.
Teddy, back when you managed all those guys, did you pitch yourself did the promoters put you with them, or how did that come about back then?
Well, the promoters put me with them. The way I got with Doom, Butch Reed and Ron is, at first they were the Ebony Express. Vince, they had the mask on. And so once they found out that I could talk, then they figured out, well, that would be the team for me. So that's how I ended up getting them from Nancy Benoit. And it was their idea to put me with Johnny B. Bad. It was Dusty Rhodes' idea. God rest his soul. He gave me my first job. And they were going to call him Tutti Frutti. And so he came to me and he said, Teddy, they want to call me Tutti Frutti. He said, I don't want to be named that. So what can we do? I said, well, we pretty much got to do what they say. I said, but I'll think of something and I'll come up with something and I'll run it by Dusty and see if he likes it. So I came up with a phrase that said, all the fly guys will be mad and all the fly girls will be glad. Get ready for Johnny B. Bad. And Dusty liked it. And that's how he got the name Johnny B. Bad.
Well, you probably saved a lot of trouble.
Amazing. Yeah, you saved him a lot of trouble there, seriously.
Right, but I mean, Tutti Frutti, don't worry about the name. Just pick up your check. That's what you do, okay? They can call me, man, listen, if you see my career, they did everything under the sun to me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So I don't worry about none of that, okay? I worry about my check. It's not real.
Mm-hmm. A lot of guys sometimes take it really personal if they're booked a certain way. You don't agree with that, you're saying, right?
Well, you got to stop taking it personal. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's sometimes that some guys are booked that it's pretty much not, like I said, I wouldn't agree with it. But sometimes in this business, there's a test. They may give you a test, and sometimes you need to know when you're getting that test. So once you pass that test, then you can see things will change for you. That's the way it is. I mean, the man don't want to put you out there on that TV and put you in a major angle that's going to make big money, and then he's going to have problems with you. Because one thing Vince let you know, if what you watched him go out on that TV and they beat him to death, they did everything in the world to him. So how you gonna tell him what you not gonna do?
Yeah, you gotta be flexible, because I mean, I always tell people this too. Like, if they have a problem with something, talk about it with the promoter. But
that's right. You can always. That's exactly right. Midnight. You can always talk about it. It ain't this business ain't like, well, they come and tell you to do something and that's the end of it. If there's something that you don't like, then you get with your agent or whoever that's working that match out with you, and you talk about it and say, hey man, no disrespect or nothing, but can we do it this way, or how about we try this? You know what I mean? But don't just go busting up in there talking, I ain't doing this. No, I'm not. And I've seen that. I ain't doing this. I'm telling y'all right now, I'm not doing it. So, but you can go take that check and cash it. You can do that, but you can't do what you're told. I don't understand that.
Yeah, you got to be flexible, because the thing is, like, if you're not going to be flexible, you need to go out and shell out all the money yourself to run a show. If you got problems with it.
If you went to Hollywood, you ain't gonna tell them what you're not gonna do in a movie.
Yeah, and that's just like, you're not the only one with ideas. There might even be something on the surface you think this sounds like a terrible idea, and then when you actually put it in action, it might be the thing you get most famous for, and it might be something you love in your career. So
well, see, but the majority of the guys don't even think about it like that. All they hear is one word: I'm getting beat. They ain't thought about how you get beat. You see, and that's what I tell guys all the time about when they win belts. It's not how you win them; it's how you lose them.
That's a great point.
Especially if you're a heel, you're not winning in the ring. You're winning every time outside the ring. That's where you're winning.
Hey, if I'm a wrestler and you're gonna beat me every night, if that's gonna sell out the arena, then beat me every night. Because I'll tell you the thing that I really love, and this is kind of inside here. When I did the thing with Undertaker, when I was in that coffin, when they rolled me down in that casket,
right.
When I got down to the ring, I could hear the people. I could hear them. And all I knew is that they thought it was the Undertaker in that coffin. But I know it's me, and the way I could hear that crowd, I'm saying to myself, I got him. I got him. And I can't wait until they open it and see that it's not the Undertaker, because this is my job. I want to make this work. So that's how I thought about it.
So you were definitely able to work him. You had him in the palm of your hand, right? And you knew that.
Well, I could hear him. I could hear them. You know what I mean? See, they'll let you know what they want. They're real easy. They'll let you know. They'll respond. When they respond to something, then you go with it. But don't give them too much, because that way you kill it. Just enough. That's it.
And Midnight, talk to me about the intimidation factor. The first time you stepped through those curtains, when you were first breaking into the wrestling business, were there ever any feelings of, trepidation or anything going through your head?
Sure. I mean, if you're not nervous, you don't care. That's how I look at it. Like, nervousness is a sign that you care about what you're doing, and you want to do the best job you can. So, like, even now before shows, like, I feel very comfortable and confident, but I want to, like, I have a little bit of nerves about, okay, I want to make sure I'm doing the best I can out there. So I think that's very important.
Right. And so how did you overcome that? Was there a moment that clicked in your head, like, I got this now, or?
Well, sure. I looked in the mirror and saw who I was, and then I realized, hey, I've got this handled. I'm Midnight Guthrie, man. I had it under control.
So it's the confidence, just like Teddy talks about. Teddy, were there ever any nerves for you when you were getting in? I mean, you were just an ordinary person they picked up to be the referee. I know there's that time you left the ring. Was there ever anything else, or did it just come naturally over time?
Well, it just kind of came naturally over time. That incident I had there, that was like my first match, and so I didn't understand. But, with me, didn't nobody teach me anything. It was like on the job learning. So I had to learn on my own every night. So that was the deal right there. So, like I said, as I continued to referee, I got more comfortable. You know, once I
Gotcha.
started understanding the business, you know what I mean, then I got comfortable. You know, I found out, you know, refereeing on TV is to stay out of the way, stay out of that camera's way, because they ain't watching me, they're watching the two wrestlers. So there's so much you have to learn. And you know, I learned all that because, like I say, man, you know, you get some of them come to Jesus meeting if you messing up out there. And so I hated that, and I didn't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I've done some refereeing too, and man, it is the most unforgiving role. People don't realize how difficult it really is once you're in there to keep track of everything and stay out of the way and all that.
Right. Well, the referee's important, and so like I said, you know, people, the referee and the wrestlers both, you have to know your way around in the ring. So once you learn your way around in the ring, it's like a puzzle. Once you know where all the pieces go, it's easy to put them there.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So with both of you having been heel managers at one point or another, what would you say is the best way to get the crowd to hate you? You know, Teddy, why don't you go first? How did you get that crowd to really want to tear you apart when you went out there with some of your guys who you managed?
Well, you know, sometimes, you know, when there's something that you're supposed to learn how to make the people hate you too. You know, on the ring post, grab the referee, I'll hold him until the guys do what they need to do, and then I'll jump down and I'll look right at the people. Don't you say a word. It's none of your business what I just did. I'll jump in your face just like I jumped up on the ring. Now keep your mouth shut. And then, you know, you know, you get them started just like that. You know, and then, like I said, like when some guys are in the ring there, you can turn around when the time is right and you look at him and say, all right, don't he look good? He don't look so good now. You know, you cheering for him. How does he look to you now? You little pretty boy.
Yeah.
You know, so you just have to know when to make that move, and you have to know when the time is right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of it is just crafting a look. Like, I look great in a men's romper. Shout out to my sponsor, Zesties men's romper. But most people don't, and a lot of people see me looking so good like this, and they're offended for whatever reason, and that alone gets it started. I wear these classy shoes too, but then once you get in their faces, you just make that eye contact with people. But when they start to kind of like toughen up, you back off a bit, and then if you show that you're maybe not as tough as you claim you are, suddenly they might think, well, this guy is such a wimp, it pisses me off. So,
no, I was going to say one other little thing, too. There's a little secret you have to learn, too. A lot of times when I was a manager, when you walk out, sometimes they're real quiet. And so to make them make noise, you turn around to, I used to turn around to them and say, now you're doing exactly what I want you to do. Stay quiet, because I'm trying to hear what's going on. Keep your mouth, be quiet. And that starts it right there.
So Midnight, I want to know, so you've been with a bunch of different promotions now, right? So Journey Pro Wrestling, St. Louis Anarchy, just to name a few. Which companies do you think you got the most out of so far?
Well, I make a point right now, like as far as my development, it'd be a lot of my home area groups here in the Des Moines area, 3X Wrestling, Impact Pro Wrestling, Rugged Pro Wrestling recently. But I make a point now, like I try to go anywhere. There's so many companies that are streaming on the internet, whether it's live or through independentwrestling.tv. I try to make it to go places where what I'm doing out there can be seen by people in their homes anywhere in the country too, because that's how you, I mean, if you want to grow and go new places, that's kind of how you do it. And then the big part of it too, you just got to get in the car. Nobody's doing that right now, but you got to make those 8-12 hour drives. You know, that's part of the game. So.
Well, yeah, you're right about that too, Midnight, because that takes me to back in the day. You know, when I first broke in, there was no airplane rides and no airplane tickets for me. I drove everywhere I had to go. And so, like you said, back then, buddy, you drive 300 miles, it was almost every night. And you go to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, then you're right back up at around 12 or 1. Well, my thing, I would get up at least 12 so I could find a gym. That's the only thing kept you going. If you could, you know, get a gym and relieve that stress and stuff, because you had a long day that next day. So I understand about that driving, brother. I drove from Atlanta, Georgia, all the way to Richmond, Virginia. And when I got there, Jim Crockett asked me what was I doing there. They didn't need me. Didn't give me one dime, so I had to get back in my car, drive all the way back to Atlanta, and pay for my own gas.
Wow.
Yep.
And then how did it feel when you came full circle? Like, I want to get into the GM of Smackdown angle, but when you got to travel, like you said, with Orton and his bus and stuff, what did that feel like?
I said, traveling around like that, driving, when you ain't got to drive, that's a blessing, man. And it was great to get on that bus and get in a bunk bed. You can lay down, sleep, watch TV, and ain't got to worry about watching the road and stuff. So I rode with Randy like that. Also, Rey Mysterio was another, me and him were really close. So he had a bus. So I remember one night we was in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and so I was getting ready to go to my hotel because I had a 7 o'clock flight that morning to get to Atlanta. And Ray said, "Hey man, I'm going to Atlanta now." I said, I'm flying out of there in Atlanta. He said, "I'm going now. You want to go on the bus?" And so, brother, I jumped right on the bus and I rode on. Went to sleep, and when I woke up, I was at home in Atlanta. And the time I got there in Atlanta was the time I was supposed to catch my flight out of Fayetteville. So that was great for me, man.
That's amazing. It really is. And so for the GM of Smackdown role, can you tell me where that transition happens, where you become, the suit-wearing, holla-holla persona that we all love?
Well, the general manager spot, I had no idea I was going to even, get in that role. I started managing first. I had Mark Henry, Rodney Mack, Jazz, a lot of guys I managed there. And Vince he came to me one time. He would always come to me because I guess he liked, me talking. I got over with when I was a heel doing the White Boy Challenge and stuff. And that was Vince's idea too. That was his whole deal. So often, I made him happy there. And so one day I got the TV and I didn't know anything about it. And about 5 minutes before we got ready to go on the air, so SmackDown, one of the writers came to me and told me, said, "Hey, you're going to be the general manager of SmackDown. They're going to make you the manager tonight." And it kind of scared me to death because I realized, oh my God, it's a lot of responsibility here, and I'd never been in a role like that, in my life. So, but my thing was this, I can't say no. So I got to go out there and pull this off. And so, the first night I went out and started managing SmackDown, I got real comfortable. I started talking in there with Vince. And so only thing I knew is this, I had to do this. You don't tell Vince you can't do something, and that would have been embarrassing. So this is what I got to do. This man gave me the opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm going to prove to him that I can do this, and I'm going to make him happy because I appreciate this opportunity.
Right. And
I have a question for Teddy.
Yeah, of course.
So you had a knack where you took some conventional things, and the way you said them, people use them as catchphrases for you now. So, like,
and I made them.
A tag team match, was that a design move to get it over, or did it just kind of take off organically?
Well, it took off organically, and I tell you how I started that, the way I went to that, because when Vince wanted want you to introduce somebody like The Undertaker or something, he don't want you to just say, and next coming to the ring, The Undertaker. He wants you to put some emphasis on that, like, and you will go one-on-one with The Undertaker. And that's what Vince wanted. So when I started making the tag team matches, they were like big matches. So then I remembered I put emphasis on it. So that's why I said we're going to have ourselves a tag team match. And that I just started on my own because I knew that's what the man wanted.
Awesome. Yeah.
And did anyone think that GM role would have the longevity that it did?
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody would have thought that. I know I had no idea that it was going to run that long. But like I said, I got it over, and I went out every night and gave Vince 100% and did my job. And so the people liked it. And I think I was something new. I was fresh with that.
Yeah.
It was new. And basically, they wrote my stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'd say what the writers wanted me to say, but the majority of my stuff is I ad-lib and added to what the writers, wrote for me.
Yeah.
Because the word Playa, I was calling that, I had a big laugh, and I called him Playa. I used to walk around the house and say, "Move out the way, Playa," and I just took that to TV.
Wow. That's amazing.
And let me tell you another good one. You know the dance I do?
Yeah, of course.
Let me tell you how I started that. My grandson, my grandson was maybe about a year and a half, and we were trying to, he started trying to walk a little bit. So what we did, I went out and we bought him this walker, and he got in the walker, and every time we get him in the walker, he would just go up and down, like bobbing like that. Yeah. So I started doing the dance on TV, but I would come home. That's when we was taping SmackDown. I would come home and I would get with him. I said, "Hey, look at TV. I'm doing your dance." And that's how I started that.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
And one day, when I got in Gorilla, one day I was getting ready to walk out, and Vince called me and said, "Hey, do that dance. Don't forget, do that dance out there." So that's how the dance started.
There you go.
So just little things like that, and they got over. And how was Vin when all that stuff got over? Did you expect it, or it was just like you were saying, organic? Like it just took flight.
It's just organic. I just did it. I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing anything to get over. I just something I was doing. You know, I'm like, hey, let me try this.
But all the tag team matches and matches with The Undertaker, that was just like, once it started catching fire, did they intentionally make tag matches a lot, do you think, because of that?
Well, they didn't intentionally make them, but when they did make them, they would always want me to introduce them.
Gotcha.
Right, you know, because like I said, you don't want to give it all to them. You know what I mean? It gets stale. So you give them a little bit, then take it away so it stays fresh. You give too much, it'll get stale, and once it gets stale, that's not good for you.
Right. Midnight. Can you tell us about Midnight Guthrie, and who are you in the ring? What's your it factor as a manager?
Oh, just incredible confidence, incredible charisma. I'm very talkative. I never stop running my mouth. And like I have no problem getting physical if I need to, even if I'm on the receiving end of that. Just a very an enhanced version of my personal self for the most part. So I just take the humbleness out of the equation, any bit of kindness I might have, and here's the thing, like you keep saying I'm a heel manager. Well, no manager feels they're a heel manager. We always feel we're on the right side of the equation, you know.
Exactly.
These good guys, Hulk Hogan was the biggest heel of all time. That guy was cheating from the word get-go. Backstrap and all that, so.
Well, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing of the wrestling business. You always want to put the title on a heel. The heel's going to draw your money. Okay, that's what the people want. They want that baby face to chase that heel and kick his ass every chance he gets. So the heel is the main character there. You always want to put that title, any something that's, you know, some big move or something. You want to do it with a heel. The heel's going to draw your money if he knows how to get over.
Yeah.
Do you remember any heels in particular who struggled to get over with your time with WWE?
Well, not right offhand, I don't. I could take me a minute. I could think of some guys, you know, because like I say, when I was there, when you're in the wrestling business, you know, things are moving so fast till, you know, you look around, you know, you see things, but then you got to move on and jump into something else right quick. So it's really no downtime, you know, where you can take a look at stuff. But yeah, there were a lot of guys that struggled, you know, trying to be heels, but you know, they just, like I said, those are maybe some of those guys that needed mouthpieces.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to know from a fan's point of view, is there any actual power that you have in that GM role? Like, what are your responsibilities?
Well, my responsibility is to do what I'm told. Is whenever I get there, is whatever the writers have, they'll bring it to me. This is what we're doing tonight. This is what you're doing tonight. But the thing with me, I was able to add some of my own touch to it. That Vince gave me that permission because he could trust me. He knew that I wasn't going to get out on that TV and say something that I was not supposed to say. So that's another thing. You have to have trust, because if you're on that live TV, you can say one thing and you can mess that man's whole $1 billion operation up. Right. So he had that confidence in me that when I did ad-lib, like I said, you know, like, well, I called Stephanie baby girl. Well, Vince didn't know nothing about baby girl, so he said to me, "What, baby girl, what's that?" I said, "That's a slang." I said, "That's a slang. That's what people say, you know, out in the street. It's a slang." I said, "I ain't gonna say nothing wrong." And he's, "Oh, all right, God damn it, go with it." Okay, so so I was able to add my own touch, like Playa, holla, 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 all that stuff. I came up with all that myself, believe that, and you're gonna learn today. You know, all my stuff. I just, you know what I mean. I was just able to, because I came from the street. So it was real easy for me to be who I am. You know what I mean? Because that's all I was doing. I had that street cred, plus I had the swag. So that I had all that going for me.
Oh, always. Do you remember specifically, since you were such a great speaker, but then you went to GM, were you still giving people backstage advice during that time, maybe on how to critique their promos or?
Oh yeah, I always talk to the guys. Like some guys that came in, you know, that, you know, were just starting, you know, and they went out and did something, you know. And, you know, sometimes they would get it from upper level, but sometimes the upper level was a little harsh. You know what I mean? So I would get them and call them, you know, and then kind of be gentle, you know, and say, hey, man, you know, that's going to happen to you. I said, that's the way the business is. But here's what you need to do. Next time, take your time. Think about something before you do it. I said, go home. I said, look in the mirror and cut promos to yourself and see if it sounds good to you. If it sounds good to you, then it may sound good to everybody else. I said, but don't, like I said, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't critique yourself, because everybody makes mistakes. But always think about something before you do it. And if you ain't sure about something, go and ask somebody. I said, come and find me. He said, come talk to me. Hey, Teddy, they want me to do this, or how about this? What you think about it? And I ain't going to tell you wrong, because I don't want you to go out there and get in trouble, because if I tell you wrong, you're going to tell them what Teddy Long told me, then they're going to come back at me. So it don't make no sense. So, you know, when you tell people something, tell them the right thing to do. But I've had people that I've told the right thing to do, and then they get a little power and get a little fame, then now you can't tell them nothing. So, you know, you have to leave them alone. Well, I was just saying, you let them find out the hard way, because, you know, some of them will get a little fame and get on that TV, and then now, oh, well, you can't tell me nothing. I know it all. So, but Vince will let you know you do not know it all.
Yeah. And Midnight, I'd love to know, what's your relationship between you and some of those Yacht Club brethren? To Teddy's point, some guys prefer, I guess, when they make it a little bigger, to stick by themselves in the wrestling business. But do you find comfort having those guys with you?
Well, we often, you know, as it is on our level of independent wrestling, where you live geographically determines your road buddies a lot of the time. So, like, generally, like, many of my crew and I, we ride together the shows. We know more about each other's lives than we even want to know about. So there's a bond there. It's stronger than friendship, because a lot of them, frankly, I probably wouldn't be friends with, but through wrestling, they're family members with me, you know? So it's wrestling. You develop a love for people you in the regular world you would not be able to stand, but because you got that bond through wrestling, there's a brotherhood there.
Well, it's like Midnight is saying, you know what I mean? It's, you know, we're family. It's a family. Like I said, I spent more time with the wrestling guys than I spent at home. I came home 2 days out of the week for almost 20 years. 2 days out of the week I was at home. And all I did was I came home, washed up all my dirty clothes, and never did unpack my suitcase. I just washed everything that was dirty, put it back in the suitcase, and it's ready to go. I never unpacked for almost 20 years.
Even on the independent level today, like, the back of my car is just always filled with my wrestling stuff. And if wrestling broke out somewhere on a Tuesday, I'd be ready to go. But
that's the name of the game, brother. When you're in this business, it ain't a 9 to 5. It's where you can get $1 at any time. You never know. All you need is to keep your cell phone on and keep your wrestling gear in your car.
So a lot of us on the indie level, it's anywhere from Friday to Sunday, you might not see your house at all, but Monday morning you got to be right back to your full-time gig too. So there's a tricky balance to all of it, for sure.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Midnight, I tell you, man, this is my first time talking to you, but I really admire you. You know what I mean? You kind of got this down. You know, you really understand. You know what this is all about, man. And I admire you, and I just want to say good luck to you. And I see a lot of potential, man. And I think that you're gonna go somewhere.
Well, I appreciate that very much. So
no problem, man.
That was great.
I'm not paying for the compliments, but I appreciate them anyway. So.
All right, Playa. I guess you want to go one-on-one with the Undertaker.
Midnight, can you speak about some of the defining moments of your career so far?
Oh, man. Like, I've been very fortunate that I've gotten to work with a lot of people that have meant a lot to me. Like, I do a lot of work with the Dan Gable Museum in Waterloo has the national, like, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, the Tragos Fez version of it. And so, like, up there during shows, I've worked with Ultimo Dragon and Sonny Ono. Ono kicked me in the head. Bob Backlund's put me in a chicken wing before. Colt Cabana hit me with his own children's book after I tried to hit him with it. I've worked with a number of guys because I was fortunate enough, like, I've done wrestling TV shows too. So I've worked with a lot of name guys, Meng and Barbarian, guys like that. So, like, I feel very blessed to be in the situations I've been throughout my career.
Right. That's fantastic. And Teddy, do you still watch wrestling yourself? Anything that's on TV?
I watch it sometime. Basically, I'm really not at home at the time that the shows are on because I'm affiliated with a wrestling school here called Face to Face, and so
Nice.
we on those nights, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we train, and so I'm basically there at the school because sometimes I'm there by myself, just me and the trainer, so I have to go. So I haven't been able to really catch, like the full shows, but I have had a chance to see some of the shows. I've looked at a little bit of AEW, and I've had a chance to watch Raw and SmackDown a little bit, but like I said, things have certainly changed a lot, and I think it's due to this. We've had lost that live audience, and I think that live audience, meant a lot. You know what I mean? And so because we have a young generation now, and the young generation, you know what I mean. Sometimes they can't adapt. They play off of that live audience. They don't understand that the way I learned is you perform for 200 just like you had 2,000. So they don't understand, if they ain't got that live audience, they can't perform. So, but they got to understand, there's another way to do this. It's really the live audience is fine, but basically the people that you're performing for is that TV audience. That's who's watching, basically where all your people that are watching you. You already know what that live audience is. So you're playing for you performing for the TV audience. So just keep that in mind, so do the same. Go out there and do the same. If it was 2 people or 2,000, do the same thing. Don't, and I think they get sidelined by that. God, what do? We got no people, and you just got to learn this business. So I think, a lot of them are going to learn, a lot of them are going to make it, and a lot of them are not going to make it. But like I said, it certainly has changed, but, everything does. It's the 20th century we're living in now, so the world has changed. So, I think right now, if you're not able to change with the product, you ain't going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And do you see potential? It's an on-the-spot question. Do you see potential in anyone right now, though, when you do watch?
Well, I do, man. You know what I mean? But then sometimes, I see something that's right, and then I'll see something that, why would they do that? You know what I mean? And so it kind of just kills my spirit. Then I'm like, well, there's no sense in me trying to say that this guy's going to do this because they're not doing the right thing with him that they're supposed to do. Sometimes I don't think they're pushing guys the way that they should be pushed. You know what I mean? Some guys are better than what they're doing with them. You know what I mean? But that's just part of it, is that's what the writers feel like that's, what they want to do, then that's what you got to go with. Well, like I said, it's like Hollywood. You don't go out there telling them how to make a movie. So, you just, whatever, my thing is this, whatever character, whatever they give you, you make the best of it. You give it 100%, whether you like it or not. You make them like it. Make them, sometimes they'll give you something to make you fail. But, so you have to understand that now. I tell you what, I'm going to show them I can make this work. And it was the same thing, I think, with God Rest His Soul with Dusty. I think when Dusty came to the WWF, and they put the polka dots on him, I think that might have been a little poke at him. You know what I mean? Because when we were in the NWA, we always talked about Vince. Nobody would never go up there and stuff like that. But Vince put the polka dots on him. Dusty didn't care. He went out there, got that over, made it work.
Yeah.
So then,
iconic,
that's what
really,
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Whatever they gave me, you think I wanted to go in? You think I wanted to be in that coffin?
No. I don't know who would. No.
You think I wanted to be in that casket? Okay, because I'm saying, Jesus Christ, it's like dead.
Yeah.
But what am I going to? I'm going to go tell Vince I don't want to be in there. So that's what I say, man. Don't funky though. Whatever they give you, make it work. And then they'll leave you alone. Then they'll understand that you understand. They'll know you know. So then they'll find somebody that don't know and give them, and mess with them.
And Midnight, who do you give credit to getting to where you are right now? Obviously yourself, but others around you, it could be mentors or trainers. Who do you see that helped you get to this place where you are right now in your career?
Absolutely. There's a lot of great veterans I've worked with. One guy that I stay in regular touch with that he works as a producer with WWE now is Adam Pearce. We had worked together.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
About 7-8 years ago, we started working together different shows, and he's always been one, no matter what's, his career skyrocketed as far as what he's able to do. But if I send him a text, he responds within 24 hours still. So I give a lot of credit to him. Guys like Jeremy Wyatt here in this area, he's a legend of the Midwest. He's kind of finally getting some of his shine now in his early 40s, but he's incredible. But like, I just have a tremendous number of people I work with, and now I'm in a position where most of the folks on shows are a bit younger than me, and I love working with the younger talent too, helping them out too.
Oh, that's great, definitely, and giving back, right? I mean, you've had so much experience over the years. Yeah, that's a wonderful feeling. Teddy, I want to transition, obviously, to the end of your career.
Yes.
Getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame with guys like JBL. Well, first, how did that feel, getting inducted, getting the phone call?
It was really a great moment, because that was a great surprise to me, too. Like when I left WWE, I still had to, deal with them where if they, wanted me for something, they'd call me back, for something. I went back to Raw 25 and the 25th anniversary of Smackdown. So, and basically that was all I really wanted to do, because after I came home and I stayed home for about 3 months, man, I didn't want to go nowhere. I mean, nowhere. I mean, it felt so good to sleep in my own bed and not waking up chasing airplanes and trying to drive at night. And I mean, it was just something, and I was really burnt out. And so after I came home and, got some rest and stayed home, I was happy to be with what I'm doing. And then they called me for the Hall of Fame. And that was a big surprise to me because, I didn't even think about going into the Hall of Fame. And so that was a great honor. And I thank Vince McMahon, the McMahon family, all of them for that. And it was just great that night, and to be inducted by JBL and Ron. And, we've been friends for so long. Me and Ron Simmons, we traveled the road together when we were with the team of Doom. And even when he was, by himself as singles, I was there when he won the World Heavyweight Championship. And like I said, and to be with JBL, I rode up and down the road with him and Ron for many years. We had such great times, got pulled over by the police, all kind of stuff, man. So we had, did you ever hear that story about the time I left Ron in the snow?
No, let's hear it.
Oh, you never heard that? Oh, God. Well, one night we were in Rochester, New York. We were driving to Albany. So it was me, JBL, Godfather, and Ron. So we were in the
van. What a crew, wow. Okay.
Oh yeah. so we get ready to go. So we get a case of beer because that's all they did. They drank every night, brother. So we get a case of beer for the road. So after we get in all them, I think they got about 2 cases because there's 4 of us in there. So I only drank about 1. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm got to drive, so I didn't mess with it. And then it's snowing. The weather's bad. So they got into drinking beer. So after so many beers, you got to go to the bathroom. So they couldn't wait till I find somewhere to stop. So I pulled off on the side of the road so everybody could get out and take a piss. Mm-hmm. So after everybody get out and take a piss, I got out and they got back in. So I look up, I'm not paying much attention. So I see Bradshaw get back in the car. So I think everybody's in the van. So I pull off. So Bradshaw says, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You left Ron. You leave Ron." I said, "Where's Ron?" He said, "You just left it." So I'm like a half a mile up the road, brother. So now I got to pull over on the side shoulders, and I got the bag all the way back in the snow to get him because I would have never, the exit was so far I couldn't leave him. I had to back up. So when I get there, he's standing there, man. He's covered in snow. I swear, man. And this was before he even started saying the word. Damn. He gets in the truck and he says, "Damn, Long." I swear to God. Yeah, that's a true story. That happened.
That's amazing.
And so to be, with Ron and JBL, it was just great, man, to have them induct me, man, because I love both of them, and they both showed me a lot of love, especially JBL, man. What a great guy.
No, it seems like an amazing time back then, and it seems like people are still having fun today, right? So,
yeah.
One question. This is a little bit of a random question, but we had him on here. We had Hornswoggle on the show, and he said that he was known back then for being a locker room bully. And I want to get your take because you were around the same time period when you were GM of SmackDown. I'd love to. Do you have any Hornswoggle stories?
Hornswoggle story. Yeah, I think I do have a Hornswoggle story. He's a little, he liked to drink a lot.
Yeah.
And so I remember one time, what did he do? Oh yeah, we was doing this pre-tape and they had this, it was like St. Patrick's Day. So they had bought all this beer and stuff, and they had it backstage, for people, that, we was using it as props. So I don't know. I think Hornswoggle ended up drinking it and stuff. And so the next thing I know, he's all drunk. And next thing I know, I see Undertaker pushing him on a luggage cart or something, pushing him around somewhere, trying to get him to his car or something. But he got drunk. He can tell you that story. I know Taker had him on a luggage cart and was pushing him around or something.
He may not remember that story the way it sounds, right?
Yeah, he remembers that story.
That's great. Midnight. Yeah,
he was a good guy to work with too. I did a lot of stuff with him too.
He was amazing when he was here. He was really good. Midnight, where do you see your future? It's a really open-ended question. Where do you see yourself heading, though, from this point onward?
And I just I love what I'm doing now. I mean, I'd love to do, the ultimate goal for anybody is to be able to do wrestling as like a full-time gig of some sort. But I'm in a really good place in my life where I love what I'm doing with wrestling. I got a good job, and I'm having a great time. So I just want everything to get healthy again so I can get back to traveling on the weekends and have more regular shows.
Yeah.
Well, I've done a few shows, and they've been very bizarre. But St. Louis Anarchy's got a couple events coming up in August. I'll be down there for those. Mm-hmm. There's a really important show coming up in Des Moines that I'm helping out with, but I'm not going to be on the scene in a role in any way. It's a Black Wrestlers Matter show.
Nice.
August 22nd. So so many tremendous Black talents coming in for that. So I highly recommend everyone check that out. In September, I know I'll be in Illinois, and I'll be back. But the thing is, these shows are all most of them are setting up, so there's only going to be 40 or 50 fans there. So it'll be a different experience for sure. So.
Absolutely. And Teddy, last question for you. You have any advice going forward for Midnight? I know you gave him some earlier. Let's hear some more.
Well, basically what I told him at the beginning, is the stuff he needs to, know. And like I said, he's been around a little while. I can tell that. And he's another guy that I can see that keeps his ears open and his mouth shut, because the way I hear him talk, that means he listens. Yep. So the stuff that he knows and the knowledge that he's sharing with us today is stuff that he has learned. And you don't learn that by running your mouth. You learn that by keeping your mouth shut and keeping your ears open. So that's why I think that, he's going to go places, you know what I mean? Because that's what you got to do in this business. Even if sometimes you still have to kind of be quiet, because, that can hurt you, so learn to play the game. And I think Midnight is learning to play the game. And that's all it takes, man. Just learn the game. And he's got that down. So I think he's going to be okay. I just hope I get a chance to maybe, work with him somewhere down the road.
Yeah, that would be excellent, Teddy. I'd love that. So.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much both for being on the show. This was great. Teddy, Midnight, amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me, man.
Blessed Daddy, Boogie Woogie Man, feel good. I tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss online, rewind, recap, relive. Oh, yeah.